Boromir, baby. Let's go.
Boromir.
There we go.
Bad boy or misunderstood. Let's talk about Boromir. Yeah, son of Denethor. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things to talk about. Let's talk about Boromir.
Yeah. Dude,
Ez, bad boy or misunderstood, man?
I think a little of both.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. And I think that you're right. I think you're right.
Right? Yeah.
I want to say one thing before you get in.
Yeah.
Somebody had to do it, Ez.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say right now. Somebody had to do it.
Right. It's crazy too. I think I don't know. I don't even now going through and having gotten to where we are in our reread and everything, I think about Boromir and I think about his relationship with his father, the loss of his mother. I think about his brother. And gosh, I don't know. The more I learned about him and just sort of hit the responsibility, the weight that he felt, the dreams kind of being, led down that path as well. I don't think he was doing anything intentionally to hurt anyone. I think what he is doing, he truly believes is a good thing. And what we're talking about here, just to cut right to this, is the, when he basically approaches Frodo and attempts to take the ring.
Give me that ring.
Give me that ring, feller. It is like I don't know. We talked about this back when we were doing the reread, and these are these conversations that, one, I like to just keep it fresh, and I like to think about these characters and
it's good to reflect about Boromir now too. That now that everything is, well, not everything's done. We are on the chapter Homeward Bound. So we're following Chance, Sassy, and Shadow back home. And I love making that reference. Do you remember that movie, Homeward Bound?
Yes, I do. Vaguely, yeah.
Okay, it's one of my favorite Michael J. Fox movies. Anyway, but we know that there's more still to be done. So our journey's not over, but everything with the ring is completed, right? It's been destroyed. So it's good to look back and think, wow, what had to happen? Which things had to happen for this quest to be fulfilled?
Well,
and Boromir has a big part of that. I mean, one of the biggest things that happens is the Fellowship breaks.
Yes,
the Fellowship, and we talked about this too in episodes and stuff. The Fellowship had to break. Yeah, well, it had to break.
It did, and again, I don't know. It doesn't. Here's. I guess, gosh, you could almost call this in defense of Boromir, because look at all the greats who were wise enough to say, they were at least wise enough to know that, no, if I do take possession of the ring, this is what it will do to me. I think the only thing you could say about Boromir maybe doesn't have quite, like Gandalf and Galadriel level of insight into what the true power and the corrupting power that this ring has. If you truly understood that, again, you would then, no, it's not something that we want. Let's actually make this whole plan to destroy it even better. But when you don't quite understand that, that's tough. And so that realization does come to Boromir. He does finally figure out, like, okay, this thing's powerful. Gandalf, Galadriel, Elrond, others, that this is why we have to destroy it. And now I see that. Let me do what I can. Sound the horn. Let me sound the horn.
Wow.
So seriously,
So a couple things came to mind as you're talking. You brought up a great point, right? His familial strife, right? His relationship with his dad, the loss of his mother, his brother. Something else that he brings that's unique to the Fellowship that no one else has. Nobody else has his perspective, right? Mm-hmm. His drive. He's driven by a dream and loyalty to his land. Okay, so he is. It's Gondor, baby. For Gondor. That's what it's all about. It's for Gondor. And part of that comes from the fact that he has been entrenched. He's on the front lines. Like, and then you could argue that there's assault all over Middle-earth. Yeah, there is. But not like there is right on the doorstep of Mordor. I don't care what anyone says. You've got Legolas off in Mirkwood doing his whatever. Gimli is, the dwarves are being driven out and killed and all that. That I know. I understand. But he is fighting every single day. Okay? So, but this is where you could say, well, Faramir didn't take it. Faramir's fighting too. Mm-hmm. Here's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Birth order, man. Birth order gets downplayed a lot, but I think maybe it could also be upplayed too much, but older brothers, okay? Older sisters are the same way. They have some weird, and you and I both know this, bro. It's both of us.
Yeah.
There is some sort of strange burden that is placed, like some sort of like, it might even be real. It might be perceived. It might not even be real. But this extra responsibility to make sure that things are taken care of, that things are okay, that everyone is fine. I think that is part of what pushes him. All the other factors aside, being in close proximity to the ring and being unable to touch it, being haunted by this dream, not knowing how to interpret it, and then also this thing that I'm big brother, I'm daddy's favorite, I've got to do whatever I can to go help the front lines. I don't understand the true power of this ring, but maybe they have an agenda. Maybe the White Council, these elven powers, maybe they have something they want to do, and that's why they're telling me I shouldn't touch it.
Again, that is one. If you want to talk about some of the flaws and things in all of this, and maybe we just didn't get a whole lot of insight into this, but bringing, when you're so busy with the war and you're looking, in basically the backyard, right, of Mordor, and seeing what's being done, you really don't have time to look around, and that's why everyone has their roles. It's not to diminish. Or it's not even to attack Gandalf and the White Council. And
No.
But and even Faramir, I say, that whole decision, that it doesn't diminish. I don't think it takes away from Boromir either. As you're saying, it's sort of it's just they're in different positions with different responsibilities, and they're thinking about different people. Things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I totally agree with you though on the idea that he brings that up at the council, that they've been fighting this fight, and yes, he is not sort of privy to what's going on elsewhere, and maybe that there are other foes and things that we need, dark forces we need to be aware of. But he knows where the real fight's going to happen, and he's been down there fighting for a long time.
And I think, don't you think also part of that, the part that fuels that kind of prickliness of Boromir? It's played up definitely in the movies. I think it's lesser so in the books, but it's still there. That defensiveness is the fact that none of them can relate. None of them can relate. And he's talking about, like you said, being on the front lines, right in the backyard.
Yeah.
And none of the rest of them can say that. And he might even, I can't remember how much, like it's my fellowship memory is a little bit foggy. He may also, there may be a level of resentment that he feels that a hobbit, the furthest from all of these problems and strife and warfare and death, it's given to a hobbit, all right? The one who's furthest away, most comfortable, knows the least amount of, and even him as a warrior thinking the one least able to defend himself if something comes after this ring. We're giving it to him, really.
That has to weigh on his mind, right? Is the idea, and it's the same thing that happens actually to Bilbo, and we see this more articulated in the movies and the Hobbit films, the idea that this person, this hobbit left their comforts, and now you're almost like, until you see them go through some adversity or you see them overcome the hardships of the terrain or whatever, you really you haven't really gotten any respect there. And I think there's something to that. That's actually interesting. He's saying, based upon what I know and my experiences and what I'm seeing here and what you're telling me you've done in your life, I don't know why we are trusting. And again,
right.
That is also part of the point in that Gandalf and Elrond, one more Gandalf, is seeing the wisdom in the same mindset that Boromir has there, and maybe a lot of men is similar to what Sauron has, right? This is not something you would expect. You would expect them to do what Boromir wants to do, which is to take it and wield it,
right? Yes,
against it.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we don't do that is never anything that was you would never see. This is not like, it seems so crazy, and that's why I guess as I am kind of defending Boromir, it's like I get why he takes it. He has good reason.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I just that you made it. That's a beautiful point. That like. Do you think that conversation? I mean, I know we'll never know, and it's a mythological story, but it's just kind of fun to surmise. Like, do you think anyone sat down with Boromir and said just that? said, look, they are looking like the enemy is looking for a hero. They're looking for an Isildur to take the ring and think that he can wield it. We can't do that. I don't think I don't think anyone did.
Well, I think that's part of the issue is that what I was driving to with the council
lack of communication, right?
Yeah, is just that here's the plan. Was there truly buy-in? There, you look at the council, you go back to the Council of Elrond, and it wasn't. It's sort of like, look, if this is the council's decision, then I will help execute this as well.
Right.
I was brought here by a dream, by a vision. And I know that it's significant. This is the one. You're telling me this is the ring of power, the one ring. That's a big deal. I want to be near this, and I want to be in on this because I need to. This is a dangerous thing, and he's not going to leave it one. Even if he doesn't agree, he's going to stay near it to make sure that it's
defended.
It's defended and everything.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a lot of me that like I love his character, and I think again, Aragorn has to also see some of this as well. He's had the privilege of being away. You can say privilege. Right. I know it's but then being near Gandalf and these counselors and being raised,
right? Yeah,
being raised in Rivendell and stuff. I think that definitely changes things. And then as you say, when we're coming down the Anduin, he is thinking out loud. He is talking, and when it's
oh my gosh, man,
when they lose Gandalf,
it's haunted.
Man, yeah, exactly. And
that's a huge part too. Is Gandalf was able to keep him in check quite a bit. Well, because once Gandalf's gone, it's all right. Well, who's next in line here? You got an elven prince. You got a dwarven fella over there. He's royalty, whatever. We don't care about dwarves or elves. This other guy here, he's a ranger. He's he claims something that's broken. I'm the man. That's a huge point. Maybe that's something I've never even thought of. That loss of so another reason they might have had that conversation with Boromir, I guess, is it's kind of degenerative, isn't it? Like it starts and he's got these objections that the counselor questions, whatever. But then, yeah, you're right. He's like, well, I'll come and I'll fulfill my part of helping defend this thing and make sure this quest is achieved. And then it's a slow release of the questions he has, the doubts he has. And then you're right, it's sped up with the loss of Gandalf to the point, dude, that he's haunted in Lothlorien when he's around higher beings. That you're right, I forget, it's so much better in the book too, because in the movie you just see him kind of looking around, paddling, he's skeptical of everybody. But in the books, it's like the hobbits they're like, what does he say? You hear him? He's talking. He's talking to us? No?
Right.
It's a little creepy. Yeah. It's a frightening moment. You're like, whoa, Boromir is unstable. Is like whether elven wisdom or challenge has gotten in his mind, or whether he was going to get there anyway, and this is just what is his current state. It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I'll make one more point here because I do want to drive this to folks, just in the comments to let us know what you kind of think about Boromir and this decision. And I think one of the things that may come up is this conversation, as you highlighted, about Faramir and the choice that his brother made. And my push on that is that the Frodo who left after the breaking of the Fellowship was a little bit unsure at that point. I think we see a different Frodo.
Yeah.
With Faramir, slightly different, and a man on a mission, truly on it. Like he is completely committed. And like when he's with the Fellowship there, it's sort of like, well, Aragorn, what do you think we should do? And then if all of a sudden Aragorn would have, defaulted to Boromir, at that point, what is Frodo really going to argue with them? I think maybe to a point he might have, but would he really have gone and done what he did? But it is literally watching the ring's power corrupt Boromir and watching him do something that was a little out of character. It was a rushed decision. It was against the Fellowship in a way, but yet it was also for the Fellowship in a way.
Right.
That Frodo learned a lot. He learned a lot from that experience, and I think the command that he has in his overall spirit, his demeanor, his word choice with Faramir, I think it moves Faramir in a way that maybe wasn't going on with Boromir. Does that make sense? Like it's just
absolutely.
It's another layer. Yeah. Anyways, I think you consider.
Holy crap! Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. Yes, yeah. It definitely hardened him. There's a better word for that. It grew his resolve, right? Like it strengthened his resolve. Because to that point he hadn't been challenged to give up the ring. No one had come after him to take the ring. And so it's that first reaction of, oh God, okay, like, no, I'm not going to give it to you so that you can help. And his ability to flee, right, and make that decision. I think it also would have helped if you're looking at how, just a little sidebar, it helped in his relationship with Gollum, Smeagol, and definitely, like you said, I think maybe even him coming to Faramir and just Faramir's different perspective and personality and traits, him seeing that, like, okay, this hobbit has been shown some harm, and I don't know from where, but that's not who I am. So I'm going to put him at ease. I'm going to sit down cross-legged, look him right in the eyes. Yeah, it is different. It's totally different. And
again, they're different brothers. They really are. And
yes, they are. They're so different.
I mean, Faramir it's said that he is he's far-seeing, he has that sight. So
and he's less dictated, I think, by impulses and that's one of the things about Boromir too, is he's passionate, right? He's so passionate that sometimes that overrules reason. You become reactionary instead of what's the opposite when you do that one? Jeez, dude. The other one.
The opposite.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I feel like an idiot. I'm a teacher and we talk about reactionary versus the other one, whatever. But yeah, he's more, he reacts on impulses. He's more impulsive, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, one thing, I mean, so when you look up Boromir's character, he is, he doesn't fall in love with anybody. He doesn't ever, like pursue that. His love is for commanding and warfare and defense and stuff. And it could be the time that he's in, but
and also think about
his nature's different.
Yeah, and also think about, you're right, his post. He's a commander. He's leading the armies. You have to be, to a certain extent, impulsive. You have to be able to make snap decisions and not think, well, I don't know, overanalyze. Is this the right one? I don't know. What do you think? Well, maybe, so maybe that's part of his decision-making, too. He's just like, well, this is clearly right. And no one usually questions me, or if they do, it's someone outranking me. It's my dad, right? So this is what I'm going to do.
And that point in time where he makes this decision, they did just see some suspicious activity. They are being followed. He does know that things are intensifying.
Right.
The element of secrecy is starting to get away from him a little bit. Like, word is out now. Word is spreading that they're moving south. So that's,
and he also
senses.
Don't you think he also senses that maybe Frodo might leave?
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, because that was something that he was going away to think so that they could talk about how they would proceed.
In the show, they definitely bring that's really hyper focused on that. That seems very much the vibe that they got. Yeah. So I can see that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's fascinating just to kind of think about Boromir and whether or not he. It's just a tough spot, and I think he gets a lot of grief. The last point I'll make is go take a look with Faramir and him having the visions that he had around his brother and his death.
Yeah.
So I think he also is a little bit more in tune with something is not right.
Yeah.
My brother, who is a great warrior, a great commander, is dead.
Yeah.
And it has something, and this Hobbit knows about this.
Yeah.
It involves the ring.
Right.
And he does have good wisdom, and he is a different in demeanor and everything. So I don't know.
Dang.
All that is just food for thought,
back, Well, yeah, and you come back to our decision or our discussion. This entire, book club has been decision, destiny, or both, right? And I'm like, I think to myself, like, so he obviously made choices that led to other things happening, but was someone destined? Like, was there some sort of hidden prophecy? I don't know, written or unwritten. Was someone destined to break this fellowship from within? I mean, Gandalf talked about fears, right? He was like, there's an assault on this fellowship from outside, and I fear from within.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I just think to myself, like, and I think about like my lens, right? We were both raised, we were brought up in traditional Christian like homes, right? And so we know the stories of the Bible, and I think the story of Judas and the role that Judas had, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that Boromir's almost kind of like someone had to do it. Someone had to break this fellowship so that it could splinter, so that it could divert the enemy's attention, and then through that possibly succeed. If they would have stayed as one group, Rohan never would have gotten involved. Gondor wouldn't have been. They may have never even made it to Gondor. Like all these things, it's a butterfly effect. All these other things wouldn't have happened. It's through their breaking up and somehow remaining one that this is even possible, right?
Yeah. It is almost like you could argue like Frodo, this experience to be told the power of the ring and to its corruption and what it can do to people is one thing, but then to see it from within, from someone who you love and who is a member of the Fellowship and who did, by the way, help the hobbits and did work with, train with them,
himself,
put him on his back and stuff. To see that, I think it really did move, and it helped Frodo kind of understand that Boromir is a good man. Let's just make that clear. He's a good man who fought for the light, who fights for the good guys here.
Right.
And it's the attack that's coming from within is the ring. I mean, it is the ring that is attacking, and it's trying to latch on to all those different fears. And it's sort of like who's going to succumb to its attack first.
Oh my gosh, dude! And the ring also kind of looking around and thinking, who can I use most easily? Yeah. Yes. Which one of these 9 can I break the most effectively? Like that is nuts.
Let's say Boromir wills out and everything's okay. I mean, you could see, and nothing against any of the Fellowship, but they all have fears. They all have things. They all had ideas at Elrond's council as to what they should do.
Yep.
So, and the ring was there for all of that, right?
I know, man. I know.
I don't know. It is fascinating to think about that. There's higher powers at work, but yet we have that decision, and also Boromir is redeemed and does everything he can with his last breath to preserve this quest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I originally thought both. Yeah, bad boy and misunderstood.
Yeah. And that's where we're at.
I think I've changed, man. I think he's just misunderstood.
He's just misunderstood. Yeah.
I think he's just misunderstood, babe.
Again, I say you can look like if you're saying, like bad boy, I guess more so I think when we bring that, I use that term as like maybe his nature and sort of like that's why he was more susceptible, but that's why I have to emphasize, I guess, to be very clear, I think he's a good guy. I think he is one of the best members of that Fellowship, and he's strong and true and has been fighting for so long. And that's why we love looking and analyzing his arc, because he's just like a lot of us, and
he is. Probably if everyone's honest, like he's probably the most like us. Like he is easily the most human natured member of that Fellowship, I'd say. Yeah.
Right. And we're thankful for that forgiveness and that we're able to kind of like, get a chance to redeem ourselves. But yeah,
absolutely, dude. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what it's all about. Let us know what you think. Boromir, bad boy, or misunderstood, or both, or neither. If we left any main points out too, I mean, there are millions of them. If maybe you're a Boromir fan, I'm thinking of some of our friends in the book club and the group who are thinking you guys forgot a massive aspect of Boromir, and that's because we got a Gandalf guy and we got an Aragorn guy. So I'm sorry, but leave those in the comments below. Let us know, if we forgot anything, what you would add to the conversation. Who is Boromir to you? Bad boy, misunderstood, or both? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. You guys are amazing, and as like we always say, man,
Frodo lives.